Now, you wouldn't normally think of farming squid, but ink is really handy for dyes and potions and all kinds of things that you might find quite difficult to get hold of. This squid farm is absolutely amazing. Huge yields, really easy to make, really fun to make, and actually the squid look hilarious as well. Let's get on with this. Don't you go anywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, depending on what time you're watching this next video from me, Avomance. I appear to have two rabbits rather interested in my bottom, looking me up and down. Oh no, that one got bored. I have also got a thing in the sky that is completely naturally formed that looks a little bit like a chicken if you squint. Yep, the rabbit, baby rabbit. Stop looking at my bum. Anyway, get on with this video. For goodness sake, Avomance, we've got to get on with this. Today, we are in a desert. So what do you do when you're in a desert? That's right, you build something out of water. What? Are you completely mental? No, we have come into a desert because that is actually the best place to do a squid farm. We're going to get loads and loads of ink. We need ink because we need to do dye-in stuff with black, and ink is actually a really useful resource, especially when you want to do some more advanced builds. So what we've got here, we've got a relatively dry area. Now it's not perfect because you can see over there, there is some water. The thing is, squids, obviously where you get your ink from, are a little bit prone to spawn where you don't want them to. You want them to spawn in your farm, but what they're prone to do is spawn in the water that's not very far away from your farm. So you need to get as far away from water as you possibly can, and that is why one of these places, a desert, is probably the best place for it. So we're going to have a go and see whether or not we can get a half decent squid farm out of this desert. Now the first thing we've got to do, unfortunately, is dig a lot. Now you get squid spawning between, I think it's Y45, I think it's Y45, might be 46, 45 or 46, up to sea level, which in a standard Minecraft world is 62, and that is the spawn area. Now if I look right here, I am in area, I think I'm round about Y70, so I've got a lot of digging to do to get down to where I want to go, but that's okay because you've got to make yourself a nice space. So we're just going to crack right on with that. For this build, you are going to need 188 powered rails, 30 normal rails, 2 minecarts with hoppers. You could use 3, but 2's plenty really. 1 lever. You're going to need 15 redstone torches, 1 dropper, 1 redstone comparator, 2 redstone repeaters, 4 bits of redstone. Glass type 1, you're going to want 225 bits. Glass type 2, you're going to want 176 bits. That could be the same glass, it could be different glass, you can mix it up, but you need all of that glass. You're going to need 49 buckets of water. You are going to need 247 signs. You're going to need 49 gates. Oak is fine, can be any wood. This is optional, but you need 180 glowstone. You need 11 hoppers. You need 4 chests to make 2 double chests. And then some building materials that you may or may not want to use. It's completely up to you, but you're going to need some bits and pieces. Goodness only knows how many, because I don't know what you're going to do with it. You are going to need a square, and it is a square, 15 blocks by 15 blocks. I've just marked it out with wool so you can see it really easy, but 15 blocks by 15 blocks is the size of your square, and we're going to have to dig right down, really quite deep, down to about level 20. We'll know when we're there, and before you do it, just have another quick look around. Have you got any water within about 128 blocks? You can see in the far corners there, I have sucked out loads of water using some sponges and block stuff off to give the best chance of this thing to actually work. Let's get digging, shall we? So when you get down to Y value 61, you can see there, right there, where the arrow is, it is a Y value of 61. So we've got X298, Y61, and Z minus 3238. Once you've got to that 61, on the row above the bottom row, so this row here, put a complete ring, just one wide, all the way around in glass. Now I've used red glass simply because, you know what, I can use red glass because I'm in creative and I can use whatever the hell I want, but you could use normal glass, whatever is easiest. But bear in mind, you're in a desert, there's an awful lot of sand, which means you can make an awful lot of glass. Glass should not be a problem, all you need is a furnace and stuff to burn in it. So I think you're probably all right. So once you get there, this is on row 62, which if you remember is sea level. And if it's sea level, that means that that is the top level on which squid can spawn. So that is why we've marked it out. Now we just have to keep going down a long way. So I'm going to keep going down right past level 45, which is the bottom end of where the squid are going to spawn. And we're going to keep going even further than that. We've got to go down right down to somewhere around about level 10. So I'm going to be back when I have done that. So we've made our hole, and you can see we've still got our ring of glass around there that is at level 62, and then a level 55, 50 and 45 I decided to put a ring of glowstone, only really to mark out what the heights were and also to make sure we knew exactly what was going on. If we were looking from the top, it was nicely lit and we couldn't miss anything that might be spawning if we wanted to watch, because you never know, you might want to watch. Now we are down at the bottom now, and we are at level Y22. You'd have to be exactly Y22. Anything kind of between 20 and 23 is absolutely fine. Y22 is about where we want to be, so I'm quite happy with that, because what we're going to do at Y45, we're going to create the stoppy bit, the bit where we're going to create the drop for the squid, and they've got to drop at least 14 blocks. If they drop 14 blocks, they are going to die instantly. If they drop less than 14 blocks, they're not going to die instantly. Now, they could suffocate and still do the drop, but you get better drops if they die from fall damage rather than suffocation. I've tried it. You always tend to get a little bit more, a little bit quicker if they die from the fall damage. So that's what you want to do. So what we're going to do at the bottom is we're going to get the collection system first. So we're going to kind of build it from the bottom upwards. So let's crack on with that. So the first thing we want to do is decide where our collection system is going to be at the top. And along that wall, let's say this is the north wall or the east wall, whatever it might be, you want to create halfway along, so 15 by 15 square, that is square 8. Halfway along, you want to just create a little 2-high door, so it reminds you where you've got to be. And then on the wall perpendicular, so that's not the wall opposite, that's the other two side walls, you need to run halfway along. Again, this is square 8. I've just marked it with some wool here just to remind me so I don't have to count in front of you. And we need to dig a trench that is 2 deep, the entire width, all the way along to the other wall. There you go. And at the bottom of each of these, we want to put a redstone torch. That's 15 redstone torches all the way across. And then we want to cover them up, like we're going to forget about them, because actually we don't need to know about them anymore. We just need to cover them up with a new floor like that. Just like that. So what that's going to do, that's actually going to put redstone power into this row of blocks all the way along. That torch is going to power that. But we can forget about that for now. We don't need to know about it. We're going to come to our little doorway. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the doorway and we're going to dig it out, and we're going to dig a trench 5 out of this. So this being block 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We don't want to go any further than that, and I'll tell you for why in just a minute. Now in here we're going to create a little kind of climbing item elevator system, and we want it relatively simple. So I'm going to use kind of like the glass block elevator system purely for this. If you want to do a dropper system, that's entirely up to you, but what I'm using is the glass block system. And what that means is I'm going to put a dropper there, I'm going to put a comparator coming out of that dropper, I'm going to set that to subtraction mode, I'm going to put a conductive block, I'm just using wool, can be whatever conductive block you wanted to use, stick a repeater coming out of that, get some redstone dust, put it there, feed that back into that comparator, get another redstone dust there, and then get a repeater running, no that's not a repeater is it, a repeater running back into the dropper. So what happens there is any items that go into this dropper through the hopper system we're about to put into it, activate, put power into this comparator, which shoves power into this block, which gets sucked out by this repeater, goes around this circuit back into the comparator. That creates a clock because it is in subtract mode. Basically the power coming in here is a different power to the power coming out of it, so you end up with a pulse that effectively goes round and round and round. And then it also comes sideways here into the repeater, which shoves it straight back into the dropper. So that then tells the dropper to spit what's in it out, and because it pulses, it does it over and over and over again. It spits everything that's inside out. But we do have to put some hoppers in, so shift click, otherwise you'll do this, which is really annoying. shift click and put a row of hoppers all the way to the end, so as it comes out into the room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along. We don't want it to come 6 along, because then it would be next to the block that is next to the redstone, and just in case there's some funny redstone skullduggery, we don't want that to be locked. I don't think it actually would in reality, but let's not take any chances. It's not worth it. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to create the elevator system. Now you can do this out of any block you want, but I'm just going to use some glass. I just happen to have light grey stained glass in my inventory at the moment, and you need this dropper to be completely surrounded, otherwise it won't work. And coming up there and coming around to the side there and there and there, and because we've now got a little bit of cramped space, we come in there. I'm going to stand on top of the hopper for now. I'm going to stick that there, that there, that like that, that like that, like that, like that, all the way around. You can't have any gaps, otherwise it doesn't work. And we need to make sure that this goes all the way to the surface without any holes, because if it doesn't, we've got a problem. Like this hole here, that is officially a problem, and we need to make sure that hole is filled up all the way around. And now we've got a big hole here, so I'm just going to make sure that we've got a solid 3x3 block all the way, with this being the center, all the way up to the top, because if we haven't, it ain't going to work. And I'll be back when I've done that. So we know that that is now a 3x3 solid tower of blocks, with the center being on the square that the dropper is looking up at, all the way to the top. And we'll sort out what's at the top in a little bit. So now we need to work out the rail system, and the rail system is how we're going to collect everything. It's going to be pretty simple really. So we want to come one in from the edge of the wall there, and we want to put a row of rails across here. Oh look, it's just powered, and the reason it's just powered is because under this block here we have got that redstone torch, you remember, and that is going to be enough to power the entire system, which is absolutely amazing. So we want this one here to go all the way to the end, because what we're going to do is we're going to get a, whoop, there it is, a normal rail that is going to go there and kind of swizzle around and take us all the way back, and we'll sort out how we're going to power that one in just a minute. At the bottom here we're going to just have a little curve, and here we're going to get another set of rails that goes all the way along but doesn't go there. So we need to make sure that that is a continuous across that way, because we want this to chip around there and there. So you see we've got a curve there, so the cart will go down, around, up and around and down. So we just need to complete that pattern all the way along, and now the power goes on when we go past the halfway system. And 1, 2 there, and I'm going to crack on, and you can watch me whilst I get all the way around and get to the hoppers, and then we have to change. Okay, so you see now we are at the hoppers. We have to shift to get onto the hopper, and then we can't use a powered rail on the hopper. Now the reason we can't use a powered rail on the hopper is because if we have a powered rail, there is a danger again. You're putting a redstone signal into that hopper, and that is just going to lock it up, and no one wants that. It's not going to work if we do that. So get normal rails over the hoppers, and then once you've gone past the hoppers, you can crack on again with the powered rails. And it doesn't matter if you've got powered rails next to the hoppers, you just can't have it on top of the hoppers. So just keep going all the way along, and I'll be back when I finish this. So we've got a superb network of rails there that starts running along the back, goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, over these hoppers for a really good stretch. So anything it picks up is bound to be transferred to the hoppers. They're not just going to accumulate in the minecart hoppers, and then up, down, and then returns the circuit. But Avo, you've got a strip right here. Yes, we do. We're going to put glowstone here. The reason we're going to put glowstone here, and you could put torches if you want to, it doesn't matter, but I like to put glowstone here because we are going to have a glass kind of layer across this rail, and if we have a glass layer across this rail, it means we can see the minecart hopper working, and to see the minecart hopper working, it requires a little bit of light. So I like to put just a little bit of light on there, so as when we put the glass on top, we've got good visibility across the entire platform, and you can see what is going on. And yeah, you could say the redstone rails give that light, Avo? Yeah, they do, but they don't give as much light out as do these glowstone blocks. So I just like to have that like that. But we've got this long rail along the back here. And this long rail needs to be powered because it won't make it all the way from there all the way to there. It just won't work. Oh, I've just noticed here, look. We've got one rail there that should be a redstone rail. Let's just change that. Little error by me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to count along to the 8th one again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is our centre, and you'll see we should be directly opposite the hoppers. Yes, we are. And we're going to dig in just one block there. We're going to remove that rail. We're going to stick 3 rails in like that. It doesn't have to be 3. You could put 5. Why not put 5? Just for lols. Let's put 5 in there. And then we're going to get a lever. And that lever is going to sit in there, turn it on, and that powers that rail for us without any problems whatsoever. And if you want, you could run that entire rail as a powered rail like this. It would work absolutely fine because there is enough power there to give the powered rail power right the way to the ends. And if you wanted to keep maximum speed, that's a really good way of doing that. Then all you need to do is cover over with this grey stained glass to about halfway. There we go. So we're about halfway there. And what we want to do, we want to get our minecart hoppers going. And I want more than one, because one minecart hopper will actually take a little while to get across here. So we're going to come right across to the end, right in this far corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a minecart hopper on there, and it won't move until you give it a little nudge. And we give it a little nudge, and off it goes. Then we're going to put another one down, and when that gets to the hoppers, we're going to nudge this one, because that's around about halfway. So it's going up and down and up and down, and it's going down across the hoppers. We give that one a nudge, and that now has got 2 minecart hoppers rolling along, and they're never going to collide because they're approximately halfway between each other, and they're just never going to be able to touch. But it will mean that we get really good efficient collection, that we can watch them all day. They ain't going to catch each other up. They are just carrying on and carrying on and carrying on, which is brilliant. So now we can cover over the entire platform with the glass, making sure we don't nudge any of the hoppers across like this. And I'll be back when that is finished. One complete glass platform. Looks very nice. We've got our minecarts with hoppers running along inside there, light right across the edge, so we can see it really, really clearly. Nothing else to do down here. Lots to do up here. So we're going to come up to this first row. And this first row we know is at Y45 because that's what we set it up as. And we're going to get ourselves a sign. In fact, we're going to get ourselves quite a few signs. And we're going to come to the first one right in the corner. We're going to miss that one. Then we're going to go to the second one, and we're going to place a sign. Then we're going to shift click, place another sign. Then we're going to come back, shift click, place another sign, back, shift click, place another sign. And you can see what I mean. We're going to go right the way across. And then when we've done all the way across, we're going to come across. We're going to miss one. Then we're going to put a sign. We're going to come back, shift click, put a sign. Come back, shift click, put a sign. I don't have to do it all. You know exactly what I'm going to do, so I'm going to be back when I've finished. And we've got a grid of signs there that are lined up with military precision, looking really, really cool. Now we're going to come one up. If we come one up, and we're going to put a sign just to the side there, and we're going to put a sign all the way along the entire wall, because we need to make sure that we've got basically edging for the entire system. So come along the entire wall like this, and then when we get to the end, we are going to do a row very much like this, but in the bits where we've got a gap. So in the very first one, that's going to get a sign. You can see what we're doing now, all the way along, not on top of it. That would look silly. So a sign there and a sign there, and then again here we're going to do exactly the same principle with a row of signs in the gap. So I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that. I'm going to be back when I've finished. We have got a lovely grid work of signs there, but we need to do just a little bit more. We want to create some cups so that water can flow from the top all the way down to the bottom, but in a single column without flowing everywhere. If we just left it like this, water flowing from the top in a single column would flow right across those signs, and we'd end up with, I guess you'd call them trenches of water. We don't want trenches of water, we want columns of water. Now, we could use a sign, actually. We could put a sign here if we wanted to, because we've got to miss that one. We could shift click, put the sign on like that, but I reckon that doesn't look quite right because it's got that handle bit there. It just looks a little bit odd, and also they can look a little bit wonky if you're not absolutely straight. So I like to use an oak fence gate. Do exactly the same thing. Oak fence gate, stick it on there, and that works beautifully. I think it fits much more nicely. Now you can see it looks like it's off a little bit. It's not level with the signs. That's okay. The signs go on the edge of the block. The gate goes in the middle of the block, so that's absolutely fine. And we want to create a number of cups. So that is one cup. So that's the base of the cup. So this here is the edge of the cup. So we're going to put another sign there, another gate there. Base of the cup, edge of the cup, another gate there. Base of the cup, edge of the cup, another gate there, like that. And we just basically continue the whole way along. So I'll be back when I finish that too. And one perfectly formed grid, loads and loads of cups that are going to be in the same shape as the grid we are about to make on the top here. So along this area of red glass, get yourself your red glass, and you want to make a nice grid pattern in exactly the same way we made a grid pattern at the bottom. So come right in and run glass all the way along, then leave a gap, run glass all the way along, and then just carry on doing that until you've got a nice grid. Now that has worked beautifully, and it actually looks really quite nice as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create the top of this collection system around here. So we know that that is where everything is going to travel right up. You can see right down there all the way to the bottom, and we're going to build up a tower using again the red just to match it like that. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 like that, and then we're going to get ourselves our chest. There's a chest. So get a chest there, and also a chest there. Oh, don't forget to shift click like that. Get rid of that. So what we're also going to do is we're going to get a hopper. I'm going to stick a hopper shift clicking into that first bottom chest. And what that means is anything that goes into this chest will suck down into that chest until that chest is full, and that will then back up through the hopper into this chest. But we also need to feed that chest. So we're going to feed that chest with 2 hoppers, shift clicking into the top chest. So anything that goes into the system at the bottom then comes all the way up to the top, comes into this hopper here, goes into that hopper, into that chest, and when that's full, into this chest. You've got loads of storage space here. And what we're going to do is we're going to top it off with slab, because I don't like the hopper being open like that. I just don't think it looks very nice. So we're going to top that off with a slab. That actually avoids any spillage. And also, if things pop up through the slab, they get sucked straight back down again by the hopper into the system. That works beautifully. Now, we need an AFK point, like we haven't got enough to do. But we need to go AFK to be able to make this work. Otherwise, the chunk won't be loaded. The squid won't load either. So we need to come 1 above, 2 above, and then 3. And we're going to build a platform out that comes to the middle. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the middle 8, and then 9. So this block here, this one, boom, that is the middle block. So let's just build up a little wall around that out of glass. Put that floor back in, otherwise we'll fall really nastily down it. And get also stone slab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That acts as the AFK points. This is where we're going to stand when we go AFK, but we want to make sure that we are relatively protected from any nasties by building a corridor all the way along, so no nasties actually get close enough to us to want to kill us. And then we just have some steps up like that that allow us to come down, bump 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 bump, and then we get our slabs again and finish off the roof. Slabs obviously will avoid anything spawning on top as well that might want to kill us, which is always a bad thing. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to get ourselves a door. We're going to get a door right there because we need a solid block. Avomance, don't be a fool. Get a solid block there. Just use a little bit of stone. Solid block there. Stick a door on the solid block, and then we are completely safe because nothing is going to get us. But at the same time, we're beautifully AFK and can make sure that the squids are spawning for us and we're getting lots of ink. So that's the AFK module. That's the grid. Now all we really need to do is fill it up with water. So we're down on the grid, and if you wanted to, you could build yourself like a little stairway that comes up from the top to come down onto the grid if you wanted to. It's completely up to you, but you shouldn't ever need to come down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to place a bucket into each of these squares. So bang, one bucket goes down there, and if we watch what happens with that bucket, it goes all the way down, and it just creates a single column of water. Doesn't spread out anywhere. That's because we did those cup things with the gates and the signs. So that's great. So now we're going to put a single bucket of water into each of these wells like this, which should give us plenty of spawning space for the squids when they eventually arrive, and they do take a little while. So let's just get this done. So we've completely filled up all of those wells. Let's just check we've done all of them. Yes, we have. Now, apart from anything, it looks quite nice, but what we now need to do is basically wait to get some squids spawning. Now, squids can spawn in any light level, so light doesn't matter, but you can see already we're getting some squids spawning in there because they're quite happy. And when they eventually kind of find a gap, they'll swim into the gap, which will cause them to fall. And once they fall, they will lose their stuff. They also might get trapped a bit like they did there and just drop their ink anyway. It works both ways. They both fall and drop their ink from a distance because they kind of drown in air, which is a little bit cruel really, isn't it? But they drown in air. Now, the mob cap level for squid, and they've got their own mob cap, is really, really low. It's like less than 10. And that's less than 10 in the world. So if your spawn chunks have got squid spawning in them, that is actually going to cause you some problems. And often on a server, for example, you find that other players are loading in watery bits, squid are spawning, and that's taken away from your mod cap. Look, there's another one there. And it just makes for a really low performing farm. But this one actually works quite well. Now, I decided that the AFK module was too close, and as a result there weren't going to be enough squids spawning, because if you're too close the squids don't spawn, you see. You need to be a certain distance away. So if we go up here, that means that we're much better off, and we've still got loads of squids cracking along. You can see they're popping up all over the place in that farm. And what I've done down here, you can see I've edged it off the stairs up to the AFK with some fencing, because me knowing me, will fall off, and in survival I'll end up killing myself, and that isn't what you want when all you want is a little bit of ink. So you come in, get all AFK on yourself, close the door, and happy days. The squids are down there, you can see them. Hello squids. Oh, and that's quite good. Right, we're going to AFK for 30 minutes. We have been AFK for just over 30 minutes, actually about 35 minutes. And you can see the squids are still spawning down there, only a few at a time, because remember the squid mob cap is really low. It might even be as low as 5. Maybe in the comments someone can say, how low is the squid mob cap? I think it's pretty blooming low. So we're going to go and have a look to see what we've managed to get in 30 minutes or 35 minutes, plus the time, of course, that it took me to rebuild this up here. So let's say an hour, approximately an hour. So in an hour I'm expecting to have several stacks of ink, because each squid drops between 1 and 3 ink every time it dies, and there have been an awful lot of squid deaths. So obviously nothing likely to be in the top because it won't be full yet. Nothing in there. So we know that we've not more than filled a double chest, which I'm not surprised. But what have we got? Wow. Okay. Wow. That's even more than I thought we might get, actually. I'm quite pleased about that. So we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and a half nearly full stacks of ink sacks just off of about an hour worth of activity, which is absolutely incredible. I'm really, really very pleased. Look, they're going up again. Look, up it goes, keeps going. No wonder it filled up so quick. That is a really superb rate of efficiency. I'm very, very pleased. I put in these steps here so you can go down should anything happen, but you shouldn't have to. Absolutely not. So that, my friends, is a pretty much fully automatic AFK ink farm, squid farm, whatever you want to call it. I think it works beautifully. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. It would be great if you enjoyed the video. You could slap that like button all over its face. That would be amazing. And if you haven't done it already, please do think about hitting that subscribe button. I've got loads of tutorials just like this one all over my channel. It would be great to see you in the sub club, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye. So good job I'm not afraid of heights, isn't it?